Good evening, folks. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates.
This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates coming to you live from the crossroads of the West in Lake City, Utah. The time right now is 7:05 p.m.
Barely clear on the backside of the sun, and the earth is located in the sun hitting the earth is located around 3.5 miles southeast of the earth is now in the solar wind is also
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be on this planet of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name is Ron Tyler. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here. As we've been doing for a while now, we're going to start off this program with a salute to the United States of America. We're going to do the national anthem, and before that, the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still the land of the free.
Come on, folks, let them know it. America's finest right there.
America's finest, absolutely are. The United States Army Barbershop Quartet performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The men and women that serve in the armed forces, we actually stand in awe of. These men and women in the armed forces do a lot for all of us behind the scenes. God bless them. God bless all of our armed forces, wherever they may be around the globe and around the world, everywhere. And also our allied forces that protect their countries and also help the United States police the world. God bless you all. May you all return home to your families after your tours of duty end. God be with you guys. We love you. We honor you. Thank you so much for your service. Folks, I've been on the phone, off and on the phone, literally all day long. I have just gotten off the phone about 20 minutes ago with the National Guard forces in Washington, D.C. I want to tell you what's going on. The National Guard has been deployed from several states to Texas to help protect the border. We also have a contingent of Army National Guard soldiers that will be headed for Guam, and after that probably to the Philippines. We've got a lot going on. Over in Guam, I want to play this for you right now. This is the governor of Guam putting out a message to the territory people of Guam. The territory of Guam belongs to the United States. Would you please listen to Governor Lou Leon Guerrero?
Today, to the people of Guam, I have received a full update on Typhoon Mawar, and there are changes that you need to know now. Current forecasts are not favorable to our island, which we have been carefully tracking and preparing for. According to our partners at the National Weather Service, winds have increased in intensity. We can now expect sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. Mawar is bordering a Category 4 typhoon with winds up to 150 miles per hour. My greatest concern and worry is your safety. All residents in low-lying, flood-prone, and coastal areas, especially in the southern villages of Inalahan, Ipan, Talofofo, Malesu, Hagat, and Umatag, are ordered to evacuate and seek shelter in private residences or designated government shelters in higher elevation no later than 6 p.m. tonight, Tuesday, May 23rd. Please take action now and evacuate in anticipation of strengthening winds and the likelihood of flooding. We must act now to ensure the protection of our people and your safety. Again, we are at the crosshairs of Typhoon Mawar. Take action now. Stay calm, stay informed, and stay safe.
That was the governor of the governor of Guam last night. She's a courageous individual. She's very smart and very educated. Folks, we have a real problem on our hands over there in Guam. Guam took a direct hit late last night into this morning. You can look at the defined eye here of Typhoon Mawar. This is a huge storm, a very huge storm that we have not seen in probably 24 years. Huge storm. It's a big deal. I'm going to show you the infrared photograph of Mawar. You can see what is going on here, and I want to pay particular attention to the center of the storm here that you see. You see two pink areas, one to the left and one to the right. This, folks, is the eye wall redeveloping. Last night during the night, the eye wall fell and had redeveloped. and it became very strong, even stronger than when Governor Guerrero put out that message last night. The storm strength for a time went up to 180 miles per hour, then it descended to 170 miles per hour, and then when it hit the island, it was at 140 miles per hour last night when it hit Guam. This is not a joke. This is very, very important. Folks, these are the winds that hit Guam this morning. You're seeing it here. I'm sorry. Right here is another shot showing a car parked in a carport. You see the trees slightly bent over at this point here. This is typical of the entire area. This is going on as we speak. The typhoon, which is like a hurricane, exactly like a hurricane, but in this neck of the woods, it's called a typhoon. This typhoon is no joke. Typhoon Mawar hit Guam as a Category 4 storm with fierce winds knocking out power to thousands of people. According to the National Weather Service in Guam, Super Typhoon Mawar hit Guam as a Category 4 storm this morning, bringing hurricane-force winds with heavy rain and marking the strongest storm to hit the U.S. Pacific Territory in decades. The United States Weather Service cone showed a direct landfall in the center of Taiwan Island last night. Mawar was passing through the Rota Channel, clipping the northern part of Guam before 9 p.m. local time, with warnings in effect for winds in excess of 115 miles per hour or greater until 10:45 p.m. last night, and for tornadic-like damage. And this storm could still spawn off tornadic-type damage. As you see here, and I'm going to post that infrared picture again. I want everybody to understand what's going on here. Those outer band winds are very strong. And as you see in the outer band areas, look at these terrific thunderstorms. These terrific thunderstorms can throw out tornadoes. They can throw out tornadoes literally as they spin. It's huge, folks. I'm not kidding you, it's huge. I've been in contact with some of our personnel over in Hawaii. They're also sending people to Guam as soon as they can get them in there. The typhoon is still battering Guam. The typhoon's eye wall passed over the northern tip of Guam about 8:45 p.m. last night with winds in excess of 145 miles per hour. Mawar is located just 15 miles northeast of Guam, moving up to the northwest at 8 miles per hour, according to the latest advisory. Landon Idlet, who is a spokesman for the Weather Service, said this is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation storm, warning officials to take cover now, away from windows, with conditions expected to gradually subside today, this morning, into this afternoon. Guam lies west of the international dateline and is 14 hours ahead of Eastern Time. Right now, it is just after 1900 hours, 1910 hours right now. That is 7:10 p.m. Guam lies west of the international dateline and is 14 hours ahead of Eastern Time. So far, the typhoon has brushed across the northern tip of Guam. It is the strongest storm to hit the century of more than 150,000 people in decades. Last night, the Guam Power Authority said that the storm had already knocked out power to tens of thousands of people. Island-wide, the power system was providing energy to just about 1,000 to 52,000 people last night. The storm is so severe that President Biden has signed an emergency declaration last night to mobilize services. That includes FEMA, the National Guard, the National Weather Service. It includes other areas of law enforcement as well. The FBI, the DEA, the other police agencies of the Department of Defense and others. It authorizes a deployment of every kind of law enforcement within the federal government, including Homeland Security. Okay? According to Guam's Department of Homeland Security, Mawar is a Malaysian word that means rose, and it's expected to be a triple threat of torrential rains, life-threatening storm surge, and Category 4 hurricane force winds. The storm was a Category 5 storm just prior to hitting the coast of Guam and was reduced to a Cat 4 with winds in excess of 140 miles per hour when it hit the island. Everybody's going to be feeling this, and they're going to be feeling this for a while. People are being urged now to stay inside. Stay inside. If you have a 2-story dwelling, you need to be on the lower side of your dwelling. The lower side of your dwelling in the center of the dwelling. That way, if any strong winds hit your glass and your windows, that you will be protected from flying glass. In the worst part of it, you should also pull a mattress or cushions over the top of your bodies to protect yourselves from any other flying construction debris from your home, as the winds could target your home and fling debris throughout your home. Stay inside. Typhoon warnings were in place for Guam and Rota, R-O-T-A. Typhoon force winds extended 50 miles from the storm center, with wind and tropical storm force winds up to 140 miles per hour from the center. The Weather Service said that at about 1 p.m. today. It's still swirling out there, and it's the backside of the storm. As you know, the storm on the front side of it, when it hits, it's in a counterclockwise direction. A counterclockwise direction. And as it comes back around, it changes direction. So the people that are in this storm will see a change of direction of wind, and it will startle some people. But that is the change as the storm center, the eye of the storm, passes over the area. It changes direction. And as I said, the bands of the storm are passing over and will pass over for probably 24 to 48 hours. This storm did not just happen yesterday. The bands of this storm have been barreling across the island for approximately 48 hours before it even hit. Power outages and loss of access to water are likely to last days, if not weeks, as a storm passes through. Flights were canceled yesterday through today, and it may extend through tomorrow, according to the island's Department of Homeland Security. The United States Weather Service said last night, and also again this morning, Mawar was expected to be the first eye passage on Guam since December 2002. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said that previous storm was Super Typhoon Pongsona, P-O-N-G-S-O-N-A, which had sustained winds of 144 miles per hour and caused an estimated $700 million in damage. Louis Zamora, who is an electrician, he's a 40-year-old electrical engineer who frequently visits Guam from California for his work with the United States military. He is hunkered down in a hotel with his colleagues to weather the storm, literally. He was scheduled to leave tomorrow, but has received notification already that his flight tomorrow has been canceled. He got that notification late last night. His flight tomorrow has been canceled. Zamora said late today that his hotel swayed back and forth and the windows and the doors shuddered as it was pelted by the typhoon winds. He said at about 1:30 a.m. Thursday, now they're on the other side of the dateline, 1:30 a.m. Thursday, that the hotel was in complete shambles. Overnight, you can definitely see the difference in the wind, he said. You can hear it a lot stronger. You can see the trees are moving around. Originally from Florida, Zamora has prepared himself the same way he would for a normal hurricane, a full bathtub of water, charging his devices ahead of the power outages and stocking up on non-perishables. He said from his hotel today, which is a Dusit Beach Resort, Dusit, D-U-S-I-T, Beach Resort. He and other people from the hotel have assured guests of their food stock and the emergency plans of the hotel. I think Guam is way ahead of you in terms of storm preparedness. It just is the outcome that is something that you really can't prepare for. Zamora and his colleagues are only a handful of 10 people that have a 10-minute drive from the airport, but it's unclear how quickly they'll be able to return home to California after the storm passes. It's just how much damage is it going to make, and when is everything going to be able to be back up and running again. Typhoon Mawar, packing potentially catastrophic winds, was headed for a direct hit on Guam, a U.S. territory in the Pacific, and it's a crucial American military outpost. It has a naval port there, a huge naval port there. Winds with tropical storm force blowing across Tumon Bay, Guam today. Again, Governor of Guam, Lou Leon Guerrero, signed an executive order last night mandating a mandatory evacuation of all low-lying areas, mobilizing the National Guard to assist in getting people to shelters. In a letter to Biden, she warned that a typhoon is expected to cause substantial destruction to our island. I anticipate this situation will have been such severity and magnitude that an effective response will be beyond the capability of the government of Guam, and supplementary federal assistance will be necessary to save lives and to protect property and public health and safety and mitigate the effects of this imminent catastrophe. Guerrero said in the letter that she posted to Instagram, I know it's been quite some time since we've had a storm of this magnitude, and it is frightening. I ask you to remain calm, stay informed, and most importantly, be prepared. Now, I'm going to read to you a notice from the National Weather Service. West-northwestward track will be the deal of the day for Mawar. It begins a mid-latitude trough as it aims towards Taiwan now. Its highly favorable environment will continue to promote intensification for a peak of 145 knots of wind. Afterward, reduced moisture inflow and passage over a relatively cooler water will gradually reduce the intensity to 95 knots of wind. Mawar is on a more straight runner trajectory toward the Luzon Strait, Philippines. The National Weather Service tracking Super Typhoon Mawar, located approximately 52 nautical miles west-northwest of Andersen Air Force Base, Guam, has tracked north-northwestward at 7 knots over the past 6 hours. Minimum central pressure is 930 millibars and dropping still. Maximum significant wave height has been 50 feet. That's huge. Maximum significant wave height is 50 feet. That's a storm surge, guys. That's a huge storm surge. Does anybody have any questions? Heather is posting a tornado warning as we speak. She's monitoring tornadoes and storm tracks here in the central United States, and we thank her for that. Heather's doing a yeoman's job, honestly. She's awesome, guys. She's awesome. Catherine Sigerson in Canada is saying we are in an El Nino now, so more places will be hit bad. You're absolutely right. As this El Nino continues to pass over the rest of this year and probably into next year, the El Nino will pack storm after storm after storm. Tornado after tornado. Okay? It's going to be crazy. Linda Covington says she's dusting off her aluminum tin hat. I don't have one of those, and I don't want to have one, if you know what I mean. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about so far? I know I packed a lot in to the last 20 minutes, but I felt that everybody needed to know about this storm because it's going from here, from Guam into Taiwan and over possibly into the northern Philippines. It's moving. And Catherine Sigerson says big snow dumps as well. I agree. During this coming winter season, and yes, we have about 4 months before the next winter season even tries to think about starting. But it's going to dump tremendous amounts of snow. Okay? Any other questions? I'm also monitoring the chat as best I can tonight. I've been very busy. We have 56 thumbs up. I appreciate that ever so much. Please, folks, if you can before you leave, please give us a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, I've also noticed that YouTube is also throwing people off our subscription list. Our subscriptions list is almost at 1,250 people, but I have also noticed YouTube taking people off from their subscriptions. So everyone that's listening to this broadcast tonight or watching it, please check your subscriptions and make sure you're still subscribed. If you're not subscribed to this program, please subscribe, and when you do, you'll need to also click on the little bell icon. There's a bell icon in a circle. Click on that. When you click on that, there'll be a drop-down menu of 3 items come up. Click on the word ALL, all, to get you notified when we come on the air. I try to get on the air between 6 and 7. Sometimes it's just a few minutes past that. But I've been very busy on the phone with talking with our military, our National Guard forces. I've talked with some Navy people. I've also talked with some DOD today and some other of my contacts to make sure I give you the information that you need. Do you have any? Oh, Aubrey's asking, do we have any idea how long this will last? This is going to last several days. As the eye has already passed over, Guam is on the back side of the storm. The back side of the storm will not disappear for several days. Guam got hit with this storm about 2 or 3 days ago, and it was just the outer band winds of maybe anywhere from 15 to 35 miles per hour. As the storm got closer, the winds upped the ante. And as that storm got closer and closer, those winds upped the ante to 140, 145 miles per hour. Right before it got to Guam, those winds were up at 185 miles per hour. It's incredible. Linda says, rain, go away, come back some other day. Oh yeah, I totally understand that. It's a big deal. It really is. I'm not gonna say it's not. It's huge. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to leave this, and for a few minutes, and this is only going to be a few minutes. I'm wanting to show you the USGS map, and we're only going to be here a few minutes. I don't intend to spend hardly any time here, and they've already disabled me. Doggone them. Okay, give me a second, guys. Okay, we got it back. I hate it when they do that. They just make stupid fools of themselves. It has nothing to do with us. Okay. I'm only going to show you a handful of earthquakes on the map here because we're going to talk about the new Madrid fault and the East Coast as well tonight. Over here in the Antarctic, okay, this is also something big that you may or may not have known about. Early this morning, we had a 5.5 magnitude earthquake hit here. And folks, it was a big deal. It was huge. This earthquake was a 5.8. It was downgraded to a 5.5. Okay? This other earthquake here, over in the southeast Loyalty Islands, is also still hitting. Okay, like I said, this earthquake that precipitated this was an 8.0. We're still having 5.0 magnitude earthquakes spin off from this earthquake, the 8.0. This is a 4.4 in Vanuatu. To the southeast, we also have a 4.8 here in Fiji, 247 miles deep. Still a big deal. That 4.8 in Fiji is going to spin off a 5.5 magnitude earthquake. It's coming. This one up in Vanuatu is only 21 miles deep, a fairly shallow quake. Over here in Papua New Guinea, this is also a 5.0 earthquake, 35 miles deep. Now folks, look where it's at. It hit an island. That earthquake hit an island. Now I do not know if this island is occupied. Papua New Guinea is a third world country. If it hit this island, there's a lot of people that are going to be hurt. Okay? And it hit right next to shore there. I don't think that anybody could have had a chance to not have it affect them if they are on this island. Some of these islands are not occupied. This one might have been. This was fairly close to shore. Okay? This is still a big island here. Okay? It's gotten hit before. Now, over here, this is in the Valdese Sea. This came out as a 6.3. They downgraded it to a 6.2, folks. A 6.2. This is the only aftershock that they have listed here. There are about 15 aftershocks here already. This is a 4.4. Spinning off from this 6.3 plus earthquake here. Now this is still a big deal. The last time we had an earthquake this size and larger, it affected people over here in Darwin, Australia. Darwin, Australia is right here. Okay? It affected people in Darwin here, right along the coast. This may have been people shaken up in Australia here. It's also a big deal. This one up here in the Philippines. Okay? This hit last night. We talked about it last night. It was a brand new earthquake before we left the air. A 5.2 hit offshore of southwestern Philippines, Mindanao Island, Philippines. Okay? And it has an aftershock here as well of a 4.6. Pondagaitan, Philippines here. Okay? Now, again, we have a huge hurricane out here. They call it a typhoon. It's huge. Pray for these people. They're going to need it. Cowboy Roy Rogers said he sent some links to our messenger chats regarding the increased military presence on Guam. Yes, there has been an increased military presence. It's true. And I'm kind of glad they've done that. Anyway, what you see here is only a pittance of earthquakes that USGS has put here. Only a pittance. They're not telling the true story. Over here in South America, 2 earthquakes. What kind of crap is that? Over here at the border region of Chile and Argentina, Candelaria, Argentina, a 4.6. This is in the foothills of the Andes Mountains here. Over offshore from Chile here, we have a 4.6 here, 11 kilometers deep. This one over here in Argentina, it's 82 kilometers deep. There's another 24 earthquakes here in Chile, Argentina, Bolivia, and Peru. A lot of them. I believe there's 2 up here in Colombia as well, if I'm not mistaken. I've been so cut, big, and busy today. There's a bunch of earthquakes here in Europe, Italy. All over. And they're not saying a word about it. Iceland. It's just sad. It's just very sad. Over here, the Southwest Indian Ridge. The Southwest Indian Ridge, guys. This is just north of Prince Edward Island. We knew this earthquake was going to hit. Okay? This is a 4.8 here. It's a moderate 4.8 here. I actually thought we'd have at least a 5.0, 5.5, because that earthquake that hit Prince Edward Island was a 6.3. And it didn't hit Prince Edward Island. It hit in the vicinity of Prince Edward Island. Okay? But this is still a big deal. A 4.8 moderate earthquake. Again, it's only 6.2 miles, 10 kilometers deep. Okay? But we're going to have increased influence in seismic activity here in the Indian Ocean. Okay? This isn't the end of it. It really is not. It's going to continue. All right? So there's that. Now, I want to go back to the United States. The USGS also just took down an earthquake. It was here about 40 minutes ago. The reason I know it was taken down was because it involved an area not too far from my home. Okay? I know exactly where it's at. I know exactly where it's at. Let me pull up another photo here, another slide. Okay? This, folks, was a 2.7 minor earthquake. That's what USGS called it. A 2.7 minor earthquake, and it was 2 miles northwest of Canton, North Carolina, which is just about 10 miles west of Asheville, North Carolina, which is a very good-sized town in the mountains of western North Carolina. It's about 45 minutes to an hour from my house. Okay, look where this is. I want everybody to take a look where this is. Okay, look at that. It's right in the foothills. If you go southeast out of these foothills and then you go northeast, you'll run into my house within about 25 minutes. That's how close this quake was. And I believe it was stronger than they are saying it is. Most people will never feel a 2.7 quake, not on me or anybody else's life. This was a stronger quake, probably closer to at least a 3.5 small quake. A 2.7 minor earthquake will not be felt by most people, not anywhere. No how. Minor quakes cannot be felt by anybody. Maybe possibly very, very, very astute people. They can't feel anything but pinpricks on their feet. That's about it. This was a little bit larger earthquake. Now, why do I say that? I have reason to believe that it was much stronger. No doubt in my mind that it was much stronger. Let me show you something here. I have gone through about 160, while I've been working, I've been through about 160 seismograms throughout the day. And it never surprises me what I see. It just doesn't. It doesn't surprise me at all. I want to show you something. Over here in Roland, North Carolina, look at this. Look at these quakes here. Okay? USGS didn't talk one little peep about these earthquakes in Pittsburgh, North Carolina. Over here in the center left, I'm going to enlarge this for you. Over here in the center left, this happened just after 7:01 a.m. this morning. Okay? The top of this seismogram is midnight last night. Okay? All it's showing is microquake activity. And every once in a while, a little tiny tremor. We had probably close to a 2.8 earthquake here near Pittsburgh, North Carolina this morning at 7:01 a.m. 2.5 minutes later, we had a 2.8 to 3.0 earthquake. Look at these P waves, okay? I'm counting 3 to 4 P waves here. And then it started dissipating. It took another minute to dissipate. Then, folks, what happened here? Just after 10:16 a.m. this morning, we had some tremors. Then we had another 2.8 magnitude earthquake, not just one, but several. But prior to that, over here on this black line here, the black line on the left is 10 a.m. Over here on the right, this is about 10:12 a.m. this morning, right before 10:13. What do we have here? A bunch of tremors. Then we had a 3.0 earthquake. That lasted for about 10 or 12 seconds. Then, about 30 seconds after that, we had more tremor activity build up. Tremors nobody's going to feel. But the next quake was a 2.8 magnitude earthquake. That dissipated quickly after that hit. Then just over a minute later, we had another tremor or two. Then we had another 3.0 magnitude earthquake. Then we had that other one at 10:16 this morning. So now we've had 5 or 6 earthquakes here this morning. Substantial earthquakes here this morning. No joke, guys. No joke. So USGS is still not talking about it. They took the one down from early this morning. Actually, it was last night when it hit. Just about 7:30 p.m. last night. Look at these earthquakes. These are this morning. No joke. No joke. Then, this afternoon, look at this. More earthquakes this afternoon. First one, after 2 p.m. Just after 2:04 p.m., we have another 3.0 earthquake. This lasts for a few seconds. There are several P waves. We had some tremors before that, probably a 2.0 earthquake, minor earthquake before the larger earthquake hit. And it was just a small quake, 3.0. Then we had some 2.0s hit, and it got quiet. We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes with 2 minor tremors. Then, about 30 seconds later, we start having some tremors. And again, we had another 3.0 earthquake, back to back. I think we had 3 earthquakes back to back. Then we had about 20 seconds of secondary waves before the body wave came in. And that body wave lasted just over 60 seconds. Then at 2:31, this time we had a 2.8 magnitude quake, 1. And the secondary wave lasted over a minute. And 2.5 minutes later, we have another very small tremor. Then we go another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 minutes, and we have another 3.0 earthquake. How about that? Okay? Crazy. Crazy. North Carolina. North Carolina. Now, I want to show you something else. How about Sumter, South Carolina? Most of you have heard that we've had some earthquakes in Sumter, Colorado, or Sumter, North Carolina. Actually, not Sumter, but just west of Sumter. Well, guess what? USGS didn't report on these either. Look what's happened here. We've had some 2.7s, 2.8s, but we've also had some 3.0s. Quite a few 3.0s. We've had increased tremor rates here. leading to these earthquakes. Over on the right on the red line, this red line is just after 8 a.m. So this would be about 8:27 a.m. this morning. Look at that huge area here. Look at those red lines. This earthquake lasted 30 seconds. Lasted 30 seconds. A 3.03.2 magnitude earthquake. And there were many of them today. Look at that, the late part of the morning today. Earthquake after earthquake. This starts looking like Bombay Beach. La Puente, California. This is what Mount Shasta looked like 2 years ago. Okay? That's here in Sumter, South Carolina. There's more, guys. There's a lot more. And I'm only going to cover the highlights this evening. This is not going to be a huge drug out show tonight. Sumter, South Carolina, this afternoon. Look at this. The earthquakes didn't end this morning. They continued for the majority of the afternoon today. None of these showed up on the USGS map. Nobody's talking about these except the people there. Small earthquakes. Small earthquakes. Most people can feel a 3.03.2 and higher. Renee Steffi says there's an old earthquake fault that runs out of Charleston, South Carolina, and runs into western North Carolina. You're right. It's a branch off the coastal fault. Yeah. That's one of the reasons we get earthquakes there. But this is crazy, guys. Sumter, South Carolina got nailed today. Bunches of earthquakes. Anywhere from 2.5 on up to 3.2, 3.3. I don't think any others came out larger than a 3.3. But these could be felt. And the agency said nothing. Not a thing. Sad. Now, why did we get hit with that? Why do you think we got hit with those quakes? Why do you think that the east coast of the United States got hit? Not just North Carolina. I can show you quakes up in Virginia and West Virginia too. Why do you think that the east coast is getting hit? Anybody remember? We talked about it here. The craton. The North American craton. You see the craton here. I am sitting on what they call the deformed craton, the foothills of the North Ridge Mountains. I'm sitting here. The Atlantic plate, remember the Atlantic Ocean here that's just to the right of this, just to the east of the United States? The Atlantic plate is expanding. It's expanding out from the middle, going east and west, putting pressure on the United States and Canada. It's pushing the North American plate, US and Canada, in a south-southwesterly direction. That's why we're seeing earthquakes. 2 days ago we had some earthquakes up in Ontario and Quebec region of Canada. It's pushing the North American craton in a south-southwesterly direction. Okay? That's why the new Madrid fault is getting hit today. Lots and lots and lots of earthquakes. Lots and lots. Okay? So you've seen what happened over in South Carolina today. I could show you the same thing in Georgia. Maybe I should. Let's take a look at Georgia. Okay? Let's go take a look at Georgia so you can really understand what is going on today. Folks, this is Savannah, Georgia. Skidway Island, South Carolina. I'm sorry, South Carolina. It's Georgia. Skidway Island, Savannah, Georgia. Please ignore the zigzag lines here. The zigzag lines don't amount to squat. Okay? You can see them all over here. However, look at the tremors here. You can see the tremors through the haze of these zigzag lines. Before they started interference with the zigzag lines, you could see the actual earthquakes here at Savannah, Georgia. You can see them very clearly. But they've tried to make it harder. Here on this one, it's not as bad. You can definitely see these tremors here. There is, however, one earthquake here at the center top of this seismogram. This is this afternoon. So the center top here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes after 12 noon. 12:06 p.m. we have a 2.0 earthquake. Maybe 2 or 3 of them. We have tremors leading up to that, and there are tremors after that. But look at all the tremors all over this seismogram. We have had tremors and earthquakes all over these seismograms prior to this for the past year. The entire eastern craton is being moved by the Atlantic fault. No doubt in my mind. Bruton, Alabama. Look at this. This seismogram comes from Bruton, Alabama this morning. Look at this. Look at the continuous tremors here. These are not magma pulse signals. These are continuous tremors generated by earthquakes. Okay? Why? Why? Just like the Eastern Craton, Tennessee, Alabama are getting hammered. They're getting squeezed. You can see tremors all over this area of Alabama. No joke. This is Bruton, Alabama this afternoon. It didn't stop in the morning. It continued. Well, I'm sorry, this is this afternoon. I was thinking I had this morning's here. Yes, I do. Right here. right back here. This morning's quakes continued to happen this afternoon as well in Bruton, Alabama. It continued. Now, I want to go over to Tennessee next. There's quite a bit of seismic activity happening in Tennessee. I want to show you Tiptonville, Tennessee. Look at this. This is Tiptonville this morning. All we had was a bunch of hit and miss tremors all morning long. No joke. All morning long. Then, just about 8:14, 8:13 this morning, the real tremors started kicking into gear. At 8:15 on the red line, you can see continuous tremors all the way down that line to the right. On the blue line, starting at 8:30 a.m., running for about 6 or 7 minutes. Not much happened. Then the tremors kicked into full gear. You can see from the center of this seismogram to the right at 8:30, just after 8:37, all of a sudden it heightens up, doesn't it? Then at 8:45 it continues. At about 8:50, all of a sudden we get some larger tremors. And then we get hit and miss larger tremors for a while. On the green and the black line, which is now 9 a.m. They continue. And then it's just after that, it's just minor tremors. 1.1, 1.2, not any more than that. Okay, that's Tiptonville this morning. This is also where the prison is. The seismologist eventually has to go out there and check it. Maybe they have a prisoner that's in federal custody that checks these seismograms. Could be. But folks, look here. The tremors continue for a good long time. At approximately 1:20 this afternoon, on that red line, we have a 1.7, 1.8 tremor. We have several other tremors. Then on the black line after 4 o'clock, the tremors continue. Then at 4:07 p.m. this afternoon, we had one lone 3.0 earthquake happen at Tiptonville, Tennessee. A 3.0 earthquake in Tiptonville, Tennessee. And no, it's not on the USGS map. You can see it on the seismogram. It's here. It's here for everybody to see. And after that, all it shows are tremors. Now, I pulled this seismogram just after 5:15. And this is what it showed. Okay? That's Tiptonville. Let me show you another one that's even going to make you think that it's coming apart. This is Ridgely, Tennessee. USGS frequently talks about tremors and sometimes minor earthquakes here at Ridgely, Tennessee. Look what happened here, guys, this morning. Just after 5:31 this morning, we had what appears to be a 2.0 earthquake and some tremors, possibly two 2.0 earthquakes in rows back to back. Nobody's going to feel them, they're just minor quakes. Then just prior, guys, just prior to 6 a.m., we had another 1.7, 1.8 tremor. And the tremors continued all morning long, off and on, didn't they? Ridgely, Tennessee, guys. Well, guess what? The tremors increased this afternoon in Ridgely, Tennessee. We didn't get any earthquakes there, but the tremors rapidly intensified. I'm almost surprised that we haven't had at least a 3.0 earthquake here. The tremors that are here are sufficient to generate a 3.0 earthquake. No doubt in my mind. They could easily have had a 2.0. That's why I'm saying these tremors are consistent with a 3.0 earthquake. But that's not all, folks. There's more. Not in Tennessee. Not in Tennessee this time. This time I want to go over to, I'm trying to decide where to take you now. Let's go to St. John's, Missouri, in the center of the New Madrid Fault. Okay, the top line here is midnight last night, 12 a.m. this morning, over on the left-hand side. Just after 12:08 a.m. this morning, we had a 3.0 earthquake here. St. John's Bayou, Missouri. Then it was fairly quiet after that, with just barely some very small tremors. Then just after 7:03 a.m. this morning, we had many 3.0 earthquakes. Now look at this signature here at 7:03 a.m. this morning. The top and the bottom have been cut off here. Look at these things. The top and the bottom have been cut off, ladies and gentlemen. What does that tell you? Again, the agency is trying to hide seismic energy from us. This was at least a 3.0 earthquake. Not a 2.5, but a 3.0 earthquake. They have hidden the outcome of this quake. St. John's, Missouri. Then, folks, we had quite a few tremors after that. 8 o'clock came. Still tremors. Then, at just before 9 a.m. this morning, okay, at approximately 8:56 a.m. this morning, the tremor started again. They rose up to about 1.6, 1.7 tremors. Then it went back down again, and then it kicked up into full gear. This time, this earthquake was a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake, not quite a 3.0. But look at the seismic activity here. The seismic activity here lasted for 2 full minutes. Then, folks, we dropped down to 10:28 a.m. this morning on the red line over here to the bottom on the right hand side. The second red line from the bottom. We have a bunch of tremors started, don't we? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Then let's look over here on the left at 10:30 on the blue line. The tremors went to a 2.0 earthquake. Then that quickly went to a 3.1, 3.2 earthquake. Look at all those earthquakes. Back to back to back earthquakes. Probably 5 3.2s in a row. Back to back. Then it dies down for a few seconds and it kicks into full gear again. Probably 4 more 3.2 magnitude earthquakes. Then the secondary wave kicks in for another 30 seconds. Now we're talking not just tremors, not just minor earthquakes, but small earthquakes. The seismic events here intensified. The seismic events intensified, ladies and gentlemen. I had to move my camera over here just a little bit. I want to make sure the camera is seeing me and you are seeing me. Okay? All this is happening. And after that, the rest of the morning, all we had was tremors and larger tremors. St. John's Bayou this morning. Let's look at it this afternoon. Here it is this afternoon. It calmed down. It substantially calmed down. You can see the earthquake activity here. There's nothing more than tremors here. It substantially calmed down. That occasionally happens. But that was quite a hit this morning. That whole area is hitting, guys. How about Point Pleasant, Missouri? We've never shown this to you. The center of the New Madrid fault, guys. And I'm still going to show you New Madrid, Missouri, Marston, Missouri, where we had some tremors yesterday. And actually those tremors yesterday were larger than they said. Look at this, guys. Mount Pleasant. Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't Mount Pleasant. It was Point Pleasant, Missouri. Over here on the black line here. This over on the left is 11 a.m. this morning. Over here on the right, you can see the tremors building up until just before 10:14 a.m. The tremors get larger. 2.0 earthquake. Then, folks, we had a 2.5 earthquake here. It starts here at 11:14. Then it moves over to the 1115 line on the left-hand side. It continues. It drops off to a secondary wave, and then it kicks up again to a 2.5. From a 2.9 to a 2.5. And then you see off and on 2.5s for a while here, for about a minute. And then the secondary wave here. Look at the secondary wave after the primary waves shut down. The secondary wave here lasts for over a minute. Then it continues out to the right, and it only gets a tiny bit stronger. Microquakes, guys. Microquakes. Let's look at Point Pleasant this afternoon. Nothing, I'm sorry, I didn't put up Point Pleasant this afternoon. Let's look at Portageville, Missouri. Let's look at Portageville, Missouri this afternoon. Nothing to show you this morning. It was dead this morning. Dead quiet. Tiny, tiny tremors all morning. Look at this afternoon. On the green line here, or before the green line, they actually turned off the seismograph. They turned off the seismograph before 12 noon. They did not turn it back on until about 12:52 this afternoon. Maybe it was 12:51 this afternoon. Actually, it was before that, I'm sorry. About 12:48. 12:48. The tremors are here. And the tremors were before that. But what happened during the time that they shut the seismograph down? Okay? But look what happened this afternoon. This happened after about 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2:47 this afternoon. At about 2:46, the tremors started, and they got bigger and bigger. At 2:47, they got bigger. Then right before 12:48, I'm sorry, 2:48. Right before 2:48, it got bigger and bigger. All of a sudden, folks, we had a 3.0 earthquake. Several, possibly 3 or 4 3.0 earthquakes. Then it died down to 2.0, 2.3, 2.4. This seismic activity continued for nearly 3 minutes. The secondary wave hit for about 30 seconds. It's incredible, huh? Portageville, Missouri. Usually we see a lot more seismic activity at Portageville. Not today. But this is still enough in the center of the New Madrid Fault to show you, and to show that the New Madrid Fault is building. It's building on all sides, north and south. No joke, guys. North and south. Now, I want to take you over to gosh. I thought I had another few earthquakes in Arkansas to show you. I do. I have quite a few. Here it is. This is Needham, Arkansas. This is west of Jonesboro, Arkansas. Look at this, guys. These are good sized tremors here in Jonesboro, or east of Jonesboro, or excuse me, not east, west of Jonesboro. This is in northern Arkansas. This is further west, away from the Mississippi and away from the New Madrid Fault. This is what's happening on the eastern or western side. I've shown you what's happening on the eastern side already in Tennessee and Alabama. This is west of Jonesboro. Now I'm going to take you over to Marktree, Arkansas next. Look at this. Again, this is in the center of the New Madrid Fault. You should be really worried about this, guys. Those of you that live in Arkansas and Missouri and even Oklahoma. No, they're not showing earthquakes in Oklahoma. Tulsa, to be exact. But I'm going to be pulling Tulsa information tomorrow morning. I want to see what's going on in Tulsa, because Tulsa is just north of the center of the New Madrid Fault. I want to know what's going on. So I'm going over to the University of Oklahoma tomorrow to find out what's going on. Because look at this, guys. We're getting 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, 3.0, 3.5 magnitude earthquakes. They're cutting the tops and the bottoms of these earthquakes off. They're not letting us see it. This earthquake in the red lines here at the right top of this slide. Okay? This, folks, is 2:27 a.m. this morning. About 2:25 a.m. we started seeing minor tremors. Just very minor tremors. Those tremors build up. 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.7, 2.0 earthquake. And look what happened. 2.5, 2.8, 2.9. Then over on the left-hand side at 2:30 a.m. this morning, they cut off, and I think it actually happened over on the right-hand side. Just after 2:14, I think they cut off the bottom there, and they may have cut off the top, because we don't hardly see anything after the top of the seismogram here. I think they may have cut off the top over there before it even got over here to 2:30. But at the 2:30 line here, they cut off the top and the bottom of this quake. This, folks, was at least a 3.5 earthquake. Right here, this is a 3.0. They cut it off. This is a 3.5 small earthquake. Not a minor earthquake, a small earthquake. Then, that continued to last for nearly a minute. Look at the overall length of this earthquake. From 2.0 on to the end of it. We're looking at 3 minutes. Then the secondary wave lasted just over a minute. And then the body wave continues until it starts building up to bigger tremors. Okay? Started building up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes of larger tremors. From small, tiny to larger tremors. Then at 3 a.m. this morning, we go over to about 3:04 a.m. this morning. The tremors start building again. At 3:05, we have a 2.0 earthquake. And this seismic sequence lasts almost 3 minutes, including the secondary wave. And then the body wave takes over. But look at all these quakes here, guys. It's just not one or two. We have some 3.0 earthquakes here. Quite a few of them. Over on the bottom right-hand side on the blue line, that's also a 3.0 earthquake. Look at the quake sequence from start to finish. It finishes over on the left-hand side on the green line with a 2.0 earthquake. On the bottom on the green line, more earthquakes. And we can't see the bottom of it. It goes off, the stylus goes off paper. That's quite a few earthquakes today. Mark Tree, Arkansas. How about Mark Tree this afternoon? It continued. This continued, guys. The center of the pneumatic fault is moving. 2 years ago, all we had were tiny tremors, 1.5, 1.7. I don't even think we had a 2.0. Just tiny tremors. I told you when it reached 2.0, we'd talk about it. Now we're talking about it. The entire pneumatic fault is moving. It's moving all over the place. Now, Hurricane Heather just said something very prolific that we need to talk about. She said when planning for an emergency, things go better with like-minded people. Why do you think that? Why do you think that when things start to get bad, that it's better if you have other people like you around? Because you can share information. You can bounce ideas off each other. You can keep track of information. You can better keep track of everything going on around you, including what you all have together. Because it's going to be together that all of you shine. When many people are together, we survive a lot better. We get through it better. We survive a lot better. That's why. Heather, that a girl. Way to go. I absolutely agree. This is essential, guys. When we're talking about emergency planning, this is exactly why. This is exactly why. Things are happening here on the New Madrid. Just like the Pacific Northwest. Just like the rest of California. It's moving. I'm showing you that it's moving. I'm telling you it's moving. We have quite a few EMA family members here. And not just family members, we have a lot of people that watch this program that live here on the New Madrid Fault. I showed you Needham to the west. Let me show you Truman, Arkansas to the south. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Over on the right-hand side. At just about 1:13, 1:11 this morning, we had tremors building and building and building. At 1:14, we had 1.5 tremors. Then within a few seconds, we had a 2.0 earthquake, a minor earthquake. Then it built up until we had at least a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Look what we're seeing here. A 2.7 minor earthquake. Then it came down to maybe a 2.0 earthquake. However, the 2.0 earthquake continued and continued and continued. It kept hammering, one after another after another. Bam, bam, bam. If this had been a 3.0 or larger, you would have felt it. Continuous shaking for a very good long time. This continued over on the 215 line. 216, it started getting smaller. Over the next 3 to 4 minutes, the body wave continued out. Then for about 2 or 3 minutes, it died down to just 1.0 tremors. That's it. Then it starts building again into a larger tremor. I just showed you the same sequence a few minutes ago elsewhere. It built into a small tremor and then died out. Went from an earthquake and then died out into a tremor. Look at the other tremors here. All day long. Truman, Arkansas. All we had was a good-sized earthquake. A minor earthquake. But it lasted over a minute. And then the secondary wave lasted for 3 minutes. That could have been a large earthquake. That could have been a large earthquake. Now, I want to jump further south to Tyronza, Arkansas. Again, this is on the center of the New Madrid Fault, guys. Look at this. It was quiet in Tyronza, Arkansas until after like 4 a.m. this morning. Just minor tremors here and there, hit and miss. Then larger tremors started creeping in. Then, at 4:49 a.m., I think it's 4:49, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 4:51 a.m. this morning. Folks, that's at least a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake on that green line there. There was hardly even a secondary wave. It dropped down to a body wave for about a minute and a half and died out to nothing, period. Look at the other tremors here. Yes, we have some 2.0 earthquakes at the bottom. Seismic energy up and down the entire New Madrid Fault. All over. Would you like to see New Hope, Indiana? I'm sorry, New Hope, Illinois? New Hope, Illinois, guys, look at this. Constant tremor activity in New Hope, Illinois. This is the northern part of the New Madrid Fault. It's not just happening in the center of the fault or in the southern part of the fault, it's happening over the entire fault. Up here, we're getting tremors. That's what's going to happen when the New Madrid Fault hits. Except up here, instead of tremors, we're going to get smaller earthquakes. The New Madrid Fault is going to go, it's going to go in the center of the fault. The fault is going, is going to put out a 7 to an 8.0 earthquake. A major earthquake. A 7.0 to an 8.0 earthquake. As it goes away from the fault, the seismic energy is going to get smaller. By the time that gets up here to Illinois, it may have decreased to a 5.0 to a 6.0 earthquake. That's what I'm showing you. New Hope is going to get hit. It's going to be serious, because I don't think New Hope has ever seen a 5.0 earthquake, and if it has, it's been too many years ago, back when they were not even keeping records. This is serious, guys. I want to make sure you understand. I hope I'm not talking to deaf ears here. I don't want to be talking to deaf ears at all. Evansville, Indiana, look at this. Minor tremors here. Nothing more than minor tremors here. And at the bottom on the green line here, that is 11:49 a.m. this morning. Just a minor tremor, 1.5, 1.6 tremor. Yes, the tremor lasted for about 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Okay? That is this morning. Let me show you Evansville this afternoon. This is Evansville this afternoon. Nothing here but minor tremors. Folks, when this earthquake hits, that seismic energy is going to go south, it's going to go north, it's going to go east, and yes, it's going to go west. 2 years ago when I came here, I stopped in Amarillo, Texas. Amarillo, Texas had a minor earthquake there, a 2.0 earthquake. The floor of the hotel shook. I believe I stayed in a Quality Inn in Amarillo. The entire building shook. The desk in the room shook. I leaned up against the desk to be holding on to something. If it had been any larger quake, me and my dogs would have gotten underneath the desk. It was just a minor earthquake. And then the tremors lasted for about another 30 seconds after that. I felt it. Okay? This is Evansville this afternoon. Nothing more than tremors. But Evansville, when this earthquake's going to get hit, a 5.0 earthquake. Maybe a 6. Illinois and Indiana both. Indiana's just north of Kentucky. Kentucky's going to get nailed. Shelbyville, Kentucky's going to get nailed. Right now, all that's happening in Kentucky is minor tremors. That's all. Now, I've shown you from the East Coast all the way over here west to the fault line. Up and down the entire fault line, guys. The Atlantic Fault is pushing on the North American plate. That's why the East is getting hit. The Atlantic Fault pushing on the North American Fault is squeezing the New Madrid Fault. And there's pressure coming from the south from Mexico as well. And South America. And Central America. Seismic energy is going north underneath the Gulf of Mexico, pushing into the New Madrid. And then from the west, we have seismic energy going up from Mexico into California. We've also got the North American plate that's deep diving, the Pacific plate that's deep diving under the North American plate, like this, putting pressure on the west coast of the United States and Canada. Okay? Putting extreme pressure here. That seismic energy is moving east. And we're getting earthquakes in Texas. We're getting earthquakes in Arizona, New Mexico. We're getting earthquakes, seismic energy drifting over into Oklahoma. Even upwards of a 2.0, 2.5, 2.9 earthquakes at man-made drill points. Man-made drill points, and the seismic energy is fracturing rock in those holes. Man-made earthquake faults all over. Yes, there are some normal earthquake faults there in Oklahoma. And some of those earthquake faults also filter in from the New Madrid. For those of you that weren't around the last time I told this story, I did an earthquake drill in 2011 over in Little Rock, Arkansas, having to do with the New Madrid fault going. I arrived there in Little Rock on Friday afternoon and started preparing things for Saturday for a briefing. Friday night we had a briefing of all the supervisors. Saturday we had a briefing with everybody that was going to participate in the earthquake drill. Sunday was our individual days to do what we wanted to do, attend religious services, and prepare for the drill opening up on Monday morning early. Guess what happened on the 11th? I believe it was April. I don't remember exactly which month, but it was the 200th anniversary of the New Madrid fault giving way. Guess what happened? We had a 3.4 earthquake just north of Little Rock, Arkansas. Up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had 2.7s, 2.8s, and 2.9s that same morning. The New Madrid fault moved on the 200th anniversary of the major earthquake that hit the New Madrid, which was at least a major 7.1, 7.2, and some people are saying it probably could have been an 8.0. And it probably will be this time. In 2 years' time, folks, we've gone from minor tremors up to full-blown earthquakes. Minor and small earthquakes on the New Madrid fault in 2 years. It's going to hit again. You can take that to the bank. PJ says, have you talked about the Wabash Valley fault? Yes. Not specifically about the Wabash, but we've talked about Illinois and Indiana. The Wabash fault is going to open up when the New Madrid fault hits. It's going to hit. It's going to nail the Wabash fault. You guys think you feel the ground shaking a tiny bit up there in Indiana on the Wabash? Guess what? I've done an earthquake drill in Indiana as well. You guys are going to feel this, guys. I promise you. You guys are going to feel this. Okay? Everybody needs to prepare. Now, I'm talking about these things because, guys, this is getting real. It's getting very real. I have never seen this before. I've never seen this kind of activity before. I've been in earthquakes in California, but I've never seen these earthquakes start in the center of the United States before. I've been watching it. We've been seeing minor earthquakes around Oklahoma all the time. Most of it is associated with oil and gas fracking operations. 586,000 plus pumps and jacks all over Oklahoma. But there's a lot more than that. It's happening all over. Folks, everybody needs to feel an urgency. Grace for Purpose says, yep, understand, feel an urgency to get my stuff together. She says, we appreciate you, Ron, keeping us informed. I appreciate all of you. I'm trying to make sure that you feel an urgency. Even Demon Catman over there in England is preparing. And I know that. England's had some tremors. Yes, there's been oil and gas fracking happening in England as well. But England also has its share of faults on that island there. The island of England. Okay? Everyone needs to be prepared. Have you even started writing your emergency preparedness plan? If not, go back in this slew, and there's about 80 different programs, 80 plus different programs on just this channel now. Go through the titles and find out where we talk about emergency preparedness. And in the title of one of the episodes, it's Emergency Preparedness Planning. I spent 2 hours that night explaining what goes into an emergency preparedness plan. And over here in my library, in my bookcase here, I've got probably 30 different plans that I've written. Yeah, folks, a lot of the information that I have is also shared over on our website in the files sharing area in the form of PDFs, because I didn't want anybody changing any of the information, so I put them in locked PDFs so they cannot be changed. There's a lot of preparedness information. Preparedness planning. How to put together an emergency preparedness kit. A 72-hour kit. How to prepare for almost any kind of emergency. It's all there in the files sharing area on our website. We talk about earthquakes. We talk about all kinds of emergency, including volcanic eruptions, on our website. And Times and Signs, who has been my right-hand man, making sure that website stays active, keeps updating it. She's been keeping it updated and putting new information in all the time. So folks, there's no reason you can't have the information that you need. And if you write to me, I'll send you more and more information that you want. Send me an email if you need help. But get an emergency plan written, detailing any kind of emergency that can hit in your neck of the woods. Okay? Find out. Call your city or town emergency manager. There's somebody there. whether it's a fire chief or one of his captains, can talk to you about emergency management and planning for your community. And if they have some handouts, get them. Find out when their Emergency Preparedness Fair is going to be and get there. Go to the Preparedness Fair and pick up information and talk to people. And get more information for yourself. Meantime, you're watching this program and you're sharing it with all your friends, your neighbors, your loved ones, extended family, the people you associate on social media with, and your work. You're sharing it so everybody can get prepared. Everybody needs this information. It's not just for me, it's for all of you. Everybody. I prepare every day so people will have information, including over on the island of Guam. Many of those people have ham radios, and that's all. Most of them have had their electricity knocked out. But before it's knocked out, we talked about it. People all over the world listen to this program. That's why I put the information out. If you haven't had an earthquake, you're going to have one. If you haven't had a typhoon, you're going to have one. If you haven't had a hurricane, you're going to have a hurricane. If you haven't had a tornado, it's coming. If you haven't had a shooting or a stabbing, it's coming. If you haven't had a plant blowing up, causing damage to your homes or businesses in your town, it's coming. If you haven't already seen a huge price gouge at your stores and at your gas stations, it's coming. Emergencies of all kinds are coming to you. Banks are closing all over the place. I just found out yesterday about another bank, Citibank this time. They're only going to be operational 3 days a week. One of the largest banks in the world is going to be operational 3 days a week. Cutting back on people. Fewer jobs. People not going to have money. What are they going to do? What are you going to do if you lose your job? That's another emergency. Have you got your food storage? Have you got survival food? Instead of planning on a cruise or a trip someplace, get prepared, guys, because that's only the beginning. The government soon will only be dealing with digital currency. They'll have control of our bank accounts. They will not let us purchase anything that they don't think we should have. If we try to buy something they don't want us to buy, guess what? We won't have that money to buy it in our bank because the government's going to control it. Mark my word. This is already happening. We have potential enemies all around us. Have you fortified your homes for emergencies? If you've had bushes growing up in front of your windows, cut them down so people can't hide in your bushes or try to ambush you. Make a security system for your home. Make sure you're protected. Have you taken training on how to protect yourselves? Have you taken training on how to protect yourselves? Hand-to-hand combat for women. I've taught the classes when I was in California. I've taught the classes in Denver, Colorado. take the classes. And it's not just for women, it's for everybody. Go to these preparedness fairs and pick up information and speak to people. Speak to people. They are knowledgeable. They have things that you may need and you may want to have. Do you have water? Do you have water stored? You need to think about that as well. I've got like 100 gallons of water stored for emergencies. I have 6 months of purified water for me. I've got another 6 months of purified water for my 4-legged children here. Yeah, guys, they drink about a gallon of water a month. Actually, no, in the summertime, it's more like a gallon of water about every week and a half. But I've got 6 months of water for them. Guys, get prepared. When you use one of those gallons of water that you buy at the stores, fill it up with tap water and put it away. Put it away for emergencies, for flushing toilets, for washing with, cleaning with. Don't drink it, use it for other things. Make sure you have water to drink, purified water to drink, and keep it. When you use something, buy some more to replace it and put it in back of everything else that you buy. Use the good can, use the later can storage first. Things with current dates first. Put the newer product behind it so you're always using food and you're not going to waste it. Please take care of yourselves and your children and your grandchildren. If they're older adults, make sure that they're doing this as well. For birthday presents and Christmas presents, think about preparedness items for gifts. That way you're helping them. And if people are going to give presents from other people, encourage them to get preparedness items as well, to give them as gifts. Flashlights, batteries, sewing needles and thread, and other things as well. Okay? I've got flashlights, I've got lanterns here, I've got solar panels here, I've got storage batteries here, I've got all kinds of things here. I've got 2 totes of emergency preparedness stuff here, plus some more totes of food storage, survival food. Oh yeah. I'm asking you all to do the same thing. I've got a 72-hour kit, not just food, but I've got a 72-hour kit down by my front door that I can leave this apartment and go out on my own for 72 hours and I would be just fine. But guess what? If I have to leave with that, I'm taking everything else with me too. Everything. I'm asking you to do the same thing. My buddy Don Patokas here in the chat. Homeless understand needs very well. Water, food, shelter, meds, security, communications, and cash. Don't forget shelters. I've got tents, plural, not just 1 or 2, but 3 or 4 tents. I've got a pop-up shelter as well. I've got camping chairs. I've got the ability to have tables at my destination as well. I've got folding tables as well. There are all kinds of things that we can do to become prepared. I'm just throwing out ideas, guys. I want you to be as prepared as I am, at least, or even more so. Get prepared, guys. It's coming. I've shown you the earthquakes this week. The Pacific Northwest and California. There's going to be a major earthquake very soon on the west coast of Canada and the United States. It's going to happen. The new Madrid fault is going to happen. The East Coast earthquakes are happening as well. Canada, east and west, is getting hit. Political stuff is happening. Even Prime Minister Trudeau is getting smacked around because he has lied to the public, just like this man in Washington has lied to us. And he can't even comprehend things some of the time, probably most of the time. But our politicians, ranging from the big P, down to the peon senators and congressmen, and the local people as well, have been lying to us. They're doing bare minimum and getting paid big wages to do things for us, and they're not doing it. Some of these politicians are getting caught, and they're going to go to prison. Taking public money and taking it to go on extravagant trips to Italy, for example. Yes, a congresswoman got caught. A congresswoman from Arizona got caught. And she's not the only one. People from here in North Carolina have also got caught. Virginia guys got caught. It's happening all over the country. It's happening all over the world. Our politicians are lying to us. They don't give one hoot and holler for us. You and I have to be responsible. You and I have to help our families, old and young. Nobody else is going to do it for us. Michael McKinney says, we're flying blind. No doubt about it. I'm telling you guys, I'm serious. I've seen it. I've been involved in politics before. A dear friend of mine was a United States congressman and resigned because of all the crap that's happening in D.C. He resigned. I helped him get elected in the 80s. He resigned in 2001 or 2002, I don't remember. But he saw what was going on and he got out. It's up to us to make sure that we are ready. It's up to us to do the right thing for the right reason. And if we don't, we're going to be held accountable. I promise you, we're going to be held accountable, and it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good at all. Now, folks, I've talked about a lot of things. I hope you've taken notes. Okay? Michael McKay says the politicians just drawing a paycheck. You're right. And they're getting paid for speaking engagements. Nancy Pelosi is a millionaire, and she's only been getting money from the United States coffers in terms of $160,000 a year. How did she become a millionaire? Not just because of her husband. Yes, he's a millionaire too. And insider trading she's done as well and gotten away with it. That's also against the law. They've all been doing it and using our money. Okay? It's true. It's true. Don Patoka says truth equals facts. Can be subject to the definition of what is PSYOPs. PSYOPs is the art of lying while telling the truth, convincing or distracting folk for political purposes or gain. Okay? It's true. And I'm sorry But Lee Wheelberger's channel is also just like that. Okay? He wants to make people think that he's preparing things. He's nothing but hype. And has all these people wheeled in to him. And nobody is as good as he is. Fact. I've seen it. Lee Wheelberger doesn't like me. And he says he used to be in the government. Interesting. And I don't like to talk about negative about anybody here on YouTube or anywhere else. But I've talked to him. He's hot air. Sorry, that's my opinion. Everybody's got one. Anyway, guys, as I said before, get prepared, do it now. We're not going to have much time. Friday is going to be devoted, this week on Friday is going to be devoted to nothing but emergency preparedness unless something else major happens. We'll keep an eye on Guam, Taiwan, and the Philippines as this storm continues to wheel out of control, and it is. It's going to be all over the place, endangering more people's lives. Anyway, guys, I want to leave you with something else. Okay? I'm going over to Timothy this time, the 3rd chapter, 1 verses 1 through 5. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents. Ding, 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 ding. What have we seen in the news the last couple years? BLM, Antifa, running roughshod over people. This past weekend, someone was in Connecticut trying to go home. And Antifa broke out into the streets. Connecticut State Highway Patrol could not do anything and let these people get off with doing whatever they wanted to do. Kicking in people's cars. One such car got smacked up so bad it was destroyed by people bouncing on the roof of the car, bouncing on the hoods and the trunks of the car, kicking in the sides of the car. It was destroyed by Antifa in Connecticut. That's what it's talking about here. And it's all over the world. Not just happening in the United States. It's all over the world. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful and unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. The Apostle Paul is describing apostasy and perilous times of the last days of our day. The scriptures, brothers and sisters, are a guide to all of us in order to gain salvation. They're a guide to us to prepare. We are in the last days, brothers and sisters. And that's exactly what we are brothers and sisters. Every one of us. Please, if you have to, go back in this video and check that scripture again. You're going to need it. Everybody is. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. That's exactly what's happening. Folks, we've talked a lot about preparedness. We've talked a lot about what's happening. I'm urging everybody here, make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're prepared and that you're ready for whatever happens. Now is the time, there's no better time to get ready than now. I'm telling you guys, there's no better time but now. May God be with you this day and always. May God be with you until we meet again. We will see you here tomorrow night, same place, same bat station. God willing. God willing. If anything else happens tonight, we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, God be with you till we meet again. We will see you around the corner. Good night, everybody. I love you.